everybody. Welcome to All the WrestleManias, the podcast. I'm your co-host, Tim Hackman.
And I'm your co-host, Rich Sigwald.
We are always excited to be in the studio with you. We got a great one for you today. We're talking WrestleMania 26. We're resuming our WrestleManias in order, going back to March 28th, 2010 from the University of Phoenix Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. Attendance on this guy is 72,219. Pay-per-view buys in the $885,000 range. And the tagline on this one was, "Get all fired up." So we're getting all fired up. We hope you got all fired up for our latest episode, the 2 for Tuesday, where we talked about Taboo Tuesday and this Tuesday in Texas. It was almost too much Tuesdays for me.
Way too many Tuesdays. Tuesdays on a Friday is no fun.
No good. And not even any tacos on these Tuesdays.
No. But one of them did come from Texas. So,
yeah,
they probably had some decent tacos in the arena. So that's okay.
They could have had some Texas tacos at that Tuesday Taboo special, but whatever.
Taboo Tuesday and Texas Taco Tuesday.
I'd buy tickets to that for sure.
Hell yeah.
So let's see. So I guess we should probably talk a little bit of wrestling news before we go too much farther. Earlier this week, there was a big rumor that came out that said that the WWE was being sold to a Saudi Arabian media holdings firm. The internet subsequently lost its entire shit. We rushed out a quick little popcorn match episode on the history of WWE ownership, not necessarily jumping on the bandwagon, but maybe jumping on the bandwagon a little bit. And after all that, it appears to maybe have just been a rumor or fake news or whatever you want to call it.
It's a work. It's a work. It's a work. It's all publicity. No. Yeah, how did that even get out? Like, it was broken by some, like, DAZN and stuff like that. So,
yeah.
Who the hell told them?
Well, and I saw it on one of the major news networks that morning. I think it was at the least on a sort of running headline at the bottom of something, CNN probably.
Yeah, so that was fun few days of wrestling news, wasn't it? Like, and all the racist memes that came flying out too. Boy,
real quick, people dug into that shit real quick.
Yeah, there was like I heard like a Middle Eastern remix of the SmackDown theme, and like it was craziness on the internet, and it's the creativity that comes out when people want to be racist is incredible.
Good job, internet. Yeah, no, it's that's probably the most wrestling news that's been out there in a long time. It's definitely the first time it's been, front page news from for quite a while. So here's a theory. What if that was like a floater, like a trial balloon, right? To sort of see what the reaction would be like. And then they're like, "Oh no, that's not actually real."
Yeah, I mentioned at the end of that popcorn match that maybe this is a tactic to lure some super wealthy American like Mark Cuban and a buyers group from another sports agency to jump in and throw their hat in a ring. Like, could you see Mark Cuban and some other people from Shark Tank throwing in money to buy the WWE? That'd be amazing.
Just to save it from the Saudis. The evil Saudis. Yeah. It's possible. Well, so this is the thing about the wrestling business, right? Is it's still the wrestling business, no matter what else it is. It's still the carny tradition is alive and well, and so it's hard to necessarily believe anything that comes out.
Yeah,
because they make a living out of bullshitting people,
right.
And being honest that they're bullshitting people, which I think is kind of the fun of it.
And in the end, it's all about making the money. They don't care. It's fun to listen to the old wrestling stories about the stupid and crazy shit that people would do just to make money in wrestling. And then the same thing's happening, but like they're now like WWE is like a massive major media company that gets coverage by the Wall Street Journal and Barron's. And it's like a small market NFL franchise or something like this on scale and price probably. So it's insane to imagine it being sold and how much is going to have to go into it. and picturing uh, the Saudis buying it was, I mean, it was horrifying just because of the human rights issues that many people point out with the Saudi government and their religious beliefs and such. So
Yeah, no, for sure. It was well. So I mean, my first thought was, there goes MJF's sort of heat around pretending he's going to the WWE, because I'm pretty sure they don't want like a Jewish superstar. It's kind of
yeah,
one of their things.
and there was a
Uh,
lot of memes out there about Sami Zayn and his
mhm.
Syrian background and stuff like that. So
Yeah. So, well, we will. We're not a news podcast, but we'll try to keep you posted as we hear things. You probably all hear things faster than we do. You guys are really quick on the social media triggers. Just a reminder, though, that we're out there on allthewrestlemanias.com. You can find us on Facebook. It's All the WrestleManias on Instagram. There's at WrestleMania Pod on the Twitters if you want to shoot us messages on there. Of course, Twitter was probably the far and away the sort of the most active around all this news earlier this week. So that was a great place to just watch the reactions and get all of your misinformation in one place. But we always love to interact with you on those venues. So, uh,
and don't forget our now internet tip jar kind of thing that we have.
yeah, thank you.
Uh, Kofi.com/all the WrestleManias, and that is spelled ko-fi.com/all the WrestleManias. And yeah, you can pop over to that website, and if you like the show, throw a couple bucks our way, and it'll go towards our server space, our equipment, and stuff like that. Because you know you're not required to do it. We're not going to put out special content or put up paywalls on anything. Just it would be we would be internally grateful if you gave us like $5 towards the cost of the web space or $5 towards the cost of a microphone. We appreciate it, and it's not gonna we're not doing this because we need to stop doing it unless we make money, but money's nice.
Yeah, and give a shout out to Melissa for tossing 15 shekels our way. That was very much appreciated. So she got the ball got the ball rolling for us. So yeah, so
Mm,
thanks for setting that up for us, Rich. Like you
yeah.
said, equipment costs have add up, and various subscription services that we use to make sure that we can get our content out to you, all that stuff. Um, but anyway, we hope you'll take a look if you're up for it.
Yeah, be like Melissa.
Be like Melissa. She's a good one. She's got a cute dog too. That's important. Anyway, let's you ready to talk 26?
Yeah, let's look at WrestleMania 26.
Do you remember what you were doing in 2010?
Let's see. In 2010, I turned 30 years old.
Okay.
There was a lot of Xbox 360 Call of Duty and Battlefield 3 being played with some crew that I'd met working at a library.
Hmm.
That was probably about it. I do remember that my 30th birthday party was themed like a first birthday party. So there was like Sesame Street party hats, and there was ice cream and cupcakes. We played Pin the Tail on the Donkey and then pulled out some alcohol. But I don't remember much from 2010. And the only thing on this show I remembered was the main event. So,
Yeah.
yay me.
That's 12 years going on 13 years. It adds up. I only remember 2010 because my grandmother died up in Pennsylvania, and on the way to her funeral, my wife and I were in a horrific accident on Route 95 where we got sideswiped by a tractor trailer and got my car blown apart, and both of us thought we were going to die. And then we had sort of like the next 2 years of our lives consumed by lawyers and insurance and physical therapy and all the rest of it. So that was January 10th, 2010. That was the start of a pretty shit couple of years, but we eventually came out of it the other side. So that's where I was. In March of 2010, I was probably mostly flat on my back or at the physical therapist trying to get my shit together.
Yeah.
Um, so anyway, but this is both Raw and SmackDown brand. I think we're past the point where they are separating events by brand. We've got Michael Cole, boo, Jerry Lawler, yay, and Matt Stryker
Yay.
on
I like
commentary.
him.
Yeah.
He dropped some amazing lines near the end of this event that are what the fuck's happening in his brain and why is it connecting to wrestling so well. I love Matt Stryker.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll be
He
curious.
was the voice of Lucha Underground,
Oh, was he?
and
I didn't realize that.
he carried that show so well of carrying the narrative and just delivering play by play with Vampiro on color. I will always like Matt Stryker, and honestly, I wish AEW would throw money at Matt Stryker, get rid of Excalibur. Let's do it.
We can definitely agree that Excalibur sucks. So Matt Stryker is Matt Cardona, right? Is that
No,
correct? No, different guy.
Different guy. Matt
Okay.
Cardona was in the WWE around this time.
Is he on this show? I feel like maybe I saw his name.
I believe he was. He might have been in the Battle Royal.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. Well, that's my bad. I was totally confused. Sorry about that, folks. Anyway, so that's our commentary team. Justin
Oh,
Roberts
he's
is
Zack Ryder at this point,
Zack Ryder. Yeah.
I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
I knew he had a different name. He's in the ladder match.
Yeah.
Trying to kill himself. We'll get to that. We're not trying to get too far ahead here. What was I saying? Oh yeah, Justin Roberts on ring announcing. Fantasia from American Idol does America the Beautiful. She
Does a
sounds
nice
pretty good.
job. Yeah, she does good.
I kind of liked her voice. I don't know. She actually came to town here just I think at the end of 22. Jackie wouldn't let me go. That's okay. Let's see. So the first thing on the card is actually we don't see it on the special. It's a 26-man battle royal, and it's won by Yoshi Tatsu, whom I don't remember. But I just wanted to
No
point
memory
out.
of him at all.
I just wanted to point out there's a couple of sort of interesting names on that battle royal. First of all, Trent Beretta is in there now in AEW. Luke Gallows of Gallows and Anderson, who is on this card later, but who was in New Japan and AEW for a little while, and now is back in the WWE. Goldust is in the dark match. Shad Gaspard, who passed away a while back. Slam Master J, who was actually Terry Gordy Jr., so that was interesting. And Vance, aka Lance Archer, also from AEW, is in that battle royal. So kind of an interesting mix of folks.
It's a weird lineup. Also, Tyson Kidd is in it,
Mm-hmm.
and David Hart Smith, who's Davey Boy Smith's son.
Oh my
In
God,
there.
does he look like his dad?
Oh yeah, because we see him later in the show,
Yeah.
and yeah, top notch.
My wife is like really good at recognizing people's offspring because he came out and she's like, "Oh, that's Davy Boy's kid." I'm like, I hadn't even looked. I mean, I knew he was on the show, but I hadn't even looked it up yet. And this week we were watching. Which one were we watching? SmackDown, I guess. And no, that's tonight. It must have been Raw. And no, it was NXT. This week has been a blur.
Round and round
Excuse
we
me.
go. Which one? Pick one.
It was NXT, and this guy comes out, and she like took one look at his face. She's like, "Oh, that's William Regal's kid," and I'm like, I had to look it up, and like, oh, sure enough, there it was. So anyway, shout out to Jackie for
Like the complete opposite of me. I'm completely face blind. Like
she's on top of it. She'll help you out.
I've been marathoning Cheers, and every episode I'm like, oh, that's Ted Danson. It's not that bad, but yeah, I have a terrible time of recognizing faces and remembering faces, and yeah, I don't know what it is. I can't piece it together, can't hold it together. It's not as bad as like the guy in like the Oliver Sacks books about the man who thought his wife was a hat or whatever, but I do have a serious issue of like not recognizing faces.
Yeah, so then the first match that we see is a tag team match, and it is Show Miz, which is the Big Show and the Miz, versus John Morrison and R-Truth. This is for the Unified Tag Team Championship. Not entirely sure why these folks have been put together. I may have blacked out during the promo, or I guess maybe they just didn't even give us one.
because they hate tag team wrestling. That's why. This is
Apparently.
actually like the first WrestleMania that the tag team belts have been defended on in like 10 years or something like that. Michael Cole says the stat, it went by too fast for me to write down, and I didn't feel like rewinding because I was staring down the barrel of a 4-hour WrestleMania. But and I don't feel like going through and doing the research myself.
I do like seeing R-Truth. I will always rep for R-Truth.
Yeah.
Um, and do you think, who's the better rapper, R-Truth or John Cena?
Oh boy. John Cena does lay down some fun lyrics every once in a while, but
Yeah.
yeah, and he's a little bit tighter, I think, than R-Truth. But they're different styles. Um,
Describe R-Truth as Dirty South, maybe. I don't know.
yeah. The before the match, they introduced Hugo and Carlos on the Spanish announce table, and like,
Mhm.
how long have those two guys been together and doing it? Like, it's just incredible, like their longevity of doing this job for the WWE and having their table destroyed every show.
Every show. Yeah, I mean, they've overlapped with we should go back and check that out, but, like, I feel
Yeah,
like they overlapped with, like, Gorilla and Bobby, and with, JR and Lawler, and now they're
yeah.
in there with Michael Cole, and, like,
And every once in a while, Tito Santana was thrown in with them
yep,
too.
yep,
So,
yep.
um,
I don't remember when for a while there, they would have the French announce table, and it was always one of the Rougeaus.
yeah.
Um, I mean, usually they were in Canada for those shows, but, uh, I don't know when that kind of fell off.
Hugo and Carlos began doing Spanish commentary for the WWF in 1994. Yeah, I took almost zero notes on this match, except for there was a guy in the front row wearing a fur coat thinking that he's John Morrison and doing the whole pose like John Morrison. And God bless him, all through the whole show in Phoenix, outdoors, he is wearing that fur coat all the way through the show. Impressive.
Yeah, that guy's dead now.
Yeah, he most likely had heat stroke at some point during the show. And the finish for this match came out of nowhere.
It
Like,
was,
suddenly Big Show just lands his knockout punch from the outside of the ring, and
yeah,
John Morrison is out and gets pinned by The Miz.
it was kind of like they're like, "All right, guys, that's long enough. Wrap it up." Like they just
Yeah,
sort of had some undefined amount of time, and they just like, well, let's go home. There's some fun little spots in this. Truth does this huge leg drop off the top rope. I don't know how his butt bone doesn't like just go up into his spine. I also like Big Show sort of picking him up and tossing him over his head like a sack of potatoes.
yeah.
Um, I like John Morrison. I don't know how you feel about him, but I like him here, especially in his sort of his early run when he's like super fit and he does a lot of kind of acrobatic stuff, but not in an obnoxious way. I also kind of like the fact that he looks like Jim Morrison and does the pose and the slow mo and all that stuff. It's kind of fun.
I like that
Um,
he's always himself, and no matter where he is, even though he changes his name every time. And I heard him talk about doing that, and there was something about like he does it to protect his own name so that none of the wrestling companies can copyright his name,
mm,
and each company can brand him separately and not have to worry about anything, which I think is pretty
yeah.
clever. By the way, where the hell has he been in AEW?
He came out that one show and lost a match and then
Is he is
disappeared.
he is he hurt? Is he hurt like
No,
everybody else on that damn roster at AEW?
no
Like,
idea.
maybe
No
they should
idea.
take note that people keep crippling themselves on the show, that maybe they should address something, that like
Mm.
1/3 of their talent is always hurt.
What they should do is get people like Morrison to like actually train these people how to take care of themselves and each other so they don't get fucking hurt all the time.
Yeah.
Um, The other two quick spots just to point out. One was John Morrison's on the apron giving Big Show the business, and Big Show just takes like one hand and puts it on his face, and just like one hands him off the edge of the apron. That made
Yeah.
me laugh. And then there's a spot where Big Show is like climbing up on the first or second rope, and Morrison sort of pops up and kicks him in the face, and the Big Show does sort of an impressive like full fall into a back bump. You don't see a big guy like that do that kind of bump that
Yeah.
often, so I thought that was pretty good.
Like a freaking tree falling down. It's crazy.
Get out of the way. Yeah, so Miz and Show get the win there. We're moving on. It's a triple threat match next with Randy Orton, Cody Rhodes, and Ted DiBiase Jr. So all the children of former legends.
Yeah, and it takes us like 10 minutes to get from the end of the last match to this match, because they got to show us like the WrestleMania week stuff. There was an art auction, and the fan fest, the access thing was when they just find like people going, "This is incredible! I can't believe it! I'm at the blah blah blah," and like, great, we don't need that for 10 minutes, thanks.
Look at what you're missing.
Randy Orton got a huge pop when he came out for this match. I was surprised how much of a cheer he got, and then like, yeah. And what Cody and Ted basically had agreed that they didn't care who won as long as Randy Orton didn't win. And so for like the first 2 minutes of the match, they're just ganging up on Orton, and then they turn on each other.
Yeah, it's a lot of 2-on-1 against Randy. This is first WrestleManias for DiBiase Jr. and for Cody, both of whom appear to be approximately 14 years old. Is this the baby DiBiase who ripped off all those people, or was that the other one?
I think it's this one.
Yeah.
I think that's why he's disappeared.
Boo this man.
Yeah, boo this man.
That sign makes an appearance throughout the show,
Yeah.
which I appreciate. Actually, I think all three of these guys are actually pretty decent, and I actually sort of like the legacy gimmick. Like I liked it when Kurt Hennig's kid was into Axel. What was his name? Axel Hennig.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
He didn't stick around too long, but I don't know. It's kind of, I like the nostalgia factor, and I mean these three are actually. I mean, Randy Orton is still kind of boring, but these three are actually decent.
Yeah, there was some accidental blood, I think, happening in this match, because suddenly the ref put on some gloves, and Ted got a big old gash on his forehead. They go round and round, rotating between opponents in and out of the ring, and then at one point, Cody takes the punt from Randy Orton, and then Ted eats the RKO, and Randy Orton gets the pin and moves on with his life.
And so do we.
Yeah.
There's an obligatory Money in the Bank ladder match next, because you can't have a WrestleMania without one, apparently. The full participant list for this one. So, of course, the intros take roughly 4 hours. Jack Swagger, Christian, Dolph Ziggler, Drew McIntyre, Evan Bourne, Kane, who is way out of place here, Kofi Kingston, Matt Hardy, MVP, and all-time superstar, one of our favorites, Shelton Benjamin.
10 people in this goddamn match.
Too many.
It's too many people. And then Kane, again, I guess they're struggling to figure out what the hell to do with him, and he won't quit. So put him in the damn ladder match. Who cares? You got the baby Drew McIntyre.
Yeah.
This is his first run as like Mr. McMahon's hand-picked golden child. And yeah, we see why. He kind of sucks and the crowd doesn't like him.
Yeah, the crowd is not digging him at all.
No, he's got go away heat going on with him.
He's almost unrecognizable, like without the beard and as skinny as he is here. And he's got sort of the kind of douchey ponytail. Yeah, I got a kick out of
like
seeing
Fabio and
he's very tan.
Yeah,
like, you're Scottish, you're not tan.
Yeah.
Like, come on, stop it.
Yeah, take a note from Sheamus.
Pale as I Want to Be. That's the name of his album.
Yeah, this match just goes on forever, and it's the most boring of all the Money in the Bank matches, because it's too many dudes, and like they just don't coordinate very well. Kane has a huge shiner when he comes out. I wonder what the hell that's from.
Yeah.
at one point the king says that he's got both men goozled. I don't know what that means. And then pretty much out of nowhere, Jack Swagger just climbs the ladder unopposed and takes the suitcase, and he wins the match.
Yeah, it's not terribly interesting at all. Evan Bourne gets tossed off the top of a ladder in like a full back bump that I'm pretty sure was going to kill him.
Yeah,
I thought there was a kind of cute spot of Kofi using like two ladders as stilts, but you
that
can tell
was
it's
cute.
not going to work because he's only
No.
like a foot and a half off the ground. And like,
I don't know if he thought he could do that to get closer to the center of the ring and then try to work his way up the ladders.
I don't know.
Come on. It's
Also,
like
why
his
did
damn pancake spots.
yeah? Also, why did you notice they mentioned that Dolph Ziggler graduated from Penn State when he comes out? Like, is that relevant? I'm not sure.
That's I mean, that's a holdover from JR's legacy of like JR
Yeah.
had to tell you everybody's football career and everybody's college and possibly what high school they went to and if they were friends with Vanna White.
Never forget.
No, if listeners, if you can't tell by this point that this is one of the most sterile and boring WrestleManias ever, then I don't know how to help you. There's no promos. It's nothing. It's so in the brief history of the WWE that I recorded, I discussed how WrestleMania, the original WrestleMania, was made to be digestible by non-wrestling fans. And to this point, they've digested it so much that like it's just baby food. Like they just play. You don't need to have watched any wrestling from the last WrestleMania to get to this WrestleMania because they will show you a segment,
Mm-hmm.
a video package that takes 15 minutes in between each match to explain to you why these guys are fighting and then go for it. And so like they've taken that concept of making it digestible for the non-wrestling fan to the extreme.
Yeah, it's definitely they've pre-chewed your food for you here. You don't have to do any work. You just let this slide right down your goozle pipe.
Yeah, and like you just don't care. You just like you just don't care about anything that has happened on this show yet.
Well, and it's also all like completely interchangeable. Like if you tuned in to see, Randy and Cody and Ted Jr. in the ring, and then just like looked away, and then like Jack Swagger, Christian, and Dolph Ziggler were in the ring, you wouldn't really necessarily have any idea that the match had changed,
No.
except that there's ladders this time. But
It's
yeah.
like everybody does the same moves and nobody does any moves. There's
Right.
a lot of laying down.
You know what I really noticed that was really egregious this time was the guys laying there clearly waiting to kick out, right? Like
Yeah.
just sort of like not pretending to be hurt, just clearly just hanging out, waiting for the second and a half to yank their shoulder up.
Yep.
And it's really obvious at a bunch of spots, especially by Shawn Michaels of all people.
Yeah.
In that
You
last
can see
match.
them looking at the ref.
Yeah.
You can see all of them looking at the ref going 1, 2, kick out. And the crowd just eats it. Oh, 2. Like, oh man, come on. This
lame.
is like there's this it's all just like blah. There's no character to it. It's very two-dimensional. It's like you had 5 minutes to discuss wrestling to somebody that's never watched wrestling. And then that person who had never watched wrestling went and put on a 4-hour wrestling show.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, like John Mulaney said about the New York Post. It's like, if like the New York Times is the news, like New York Post is like an insane person who like heard the news and is now yelling it at you. That's what's going on here. Are we ready to move on?
Yeah, there's a nice video package after the ladder match reminding you not to do this at home because you can get hurt. But if you wrestle how anybody is doing in this show, you're not going to get hurt. It's
Yeah, you'll be
okay.
fine. Yeah,
You'll
you'll
be
be fine.
fine. You might be a little tender in the morning, but I wouldn't call it hurt.
Yeah, so the next thing up is the WrestleMania, or not the WrestleMania. Oh my God, the WWE Hall of Fame 2010 class induction. And this is one of our favorite parts of these shows. It's really nice to see the older folks out there and being recognized for their work. So Howard Finkel is back on announcing. He's long since moved off announcing duties for these shows, but he's there for the Hall of Fame. And the inductees this year are Ted DiBiase. Oh, it's fitting. We just saw his kid. Antonio Inoki, who just passed away last year. Wendy Richter, Maurice Mad Dog Vachon. Did I just say Mad Dong?
I think so. It's a mad dong.
That's a different wrestler. Gorgeous George, who's represented by his 100-year-old ex-wife, Betty Wagner.
Jesus.
I think she's just there to spit on his grave. She's like,
Probably. She does not look like she liked him.
no. It's hard to say. She may have been actively dying when we're watching this show. Stu Hart, and for the celebrity wing, Bob Uecker, who is hilarious, as always. I think this is actually a really good class. This is one of the better ones we've seen in a while.
Bob Uecker's speech was pretty hilarious, talking about how, like, after what you didn't see after Andre choked me was I turned around and gave him the business and worked him over. Like, it wasn't one-sided.
Yeah, and then he says, so then after I changed my underwear.
Yeah.
Hey-o.
And seeing Gorgeous George just made me think of my mom, because, Gorgeous George was her favorite wrestler of all time. And anytime we watched wrestling, she would just start talking about Gorgeous George and how much she loved him and his robes. And, especially if like Ric Flair came on, she was like, oh my God, he's just like Gorgeous George. Like, yeah. So,
yeah. And sort of famously, Muhammad Ali said that he took a lot of his shtick from Gorgeous George, his kind of healing, his insulting his opponents, his sort of playing the bad guy to sell tickets, basically, right? So he's a huge figure, and there's tons of folks who read wrestling biographies and stuff who point to him as one of the primary influences in the business. Inoki we've talked about before. Wendy Richter, we haven't seen on a show since like the first or second WrestleMania, but she was for a minute there. She was like the female Hulk Hogan. Like she was a big friggin' deal.
Yeah, and she's probably, until like modern times, the last real woman wrestler that WWF had for a long time, until like Bull Nagano.
Yeah, for real. Not like a diva type thing.
No.
We haven't watched any Mad Dog Vachon matches, but we actually are going to do that real soon. We're going to dig back into WWE Old School, which is a video series on the Peacock, and he's on a couple of those cards. So we're going to get back to him in a little bit.
He still looked the same. That was great. He was still doing his gimmick. He's still living kayfabe up on going into the Hall of Fame in a wheelchair, and he's still kayfabing it. Power to you.
He looked like he would take a bite out of your face.
Yeah. And then Stu Hart, nice memory to Stu Hart there. Kind of weird though, because like Owen, the whole Owen situation there. I was kind of surprised that like most of the family agreed to participate, but I understand that a lot didn't. So, and that's understandable.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess, putting Stu in the Hall of Fame is a great way to get the Harts there. If you were ever going to get him there, right? That's the way to do it. The picture of him, as a young man looks like so much like my grandfather on my mom's side. I'll have to dig up pictures sometime and show you. There's a picture of him in his military uniform. I'm like, maybe my grandfather is Stu Hart.
You would be so lucky.
Maybe I'm the last survivor of the Hart Dungeon.
Yeah, you could be. Could be.
I was in New Jersey all those years.
I've been watching some of the Tales from the Territories shows. Someone's been throwing them up on YouTube since I don't have cable. And the episode about Stampede Wrestling is extremely enjoyable. And one of the most enjoyable aspects of it is they have footage of Stu Hart actually in the ring wrestling in it. And that's one tough SOB. um, and I think it was actually Bret was on that show. Bret Hart was on there talking about his dad. And one, he does an amazing impersonation of his dad.
Oh,
It's
really?
incredible.
That's awesome.
But Bret, I think, talks about his dad, Stu, went down to like the local high school for something, and the high school wrestling coach started giving Stu shit. Like, oh, there's the fake wrestler guy. He does the fake wrestling. It's not real. And then, like, 10 seconds, Stu had that guy's foot up his own ass and his neck turned backwards. And, like, the guy is screaming.
Nice.
And Stu's just like, yeah, it's not real, is it? Ah.
What a maniac.
I know. Just assaulting a high school teacher out of nowhere.
That's too funny. I will say Antonio Inoki looks like ring ready still. He looks like he could kick everybody asses on that stage. And I thought Bob Uecker was dead. Just saying. I looked it up. He is alive.
Is he really? I thought he was dead too. I could have sworn he died.
I know. Per Wikipedia, he's still kicking it.
Wow. More power to him. Let's make another Major League movie so that we can get
just
him.
A bit outside. Love that guy.
I'm pretty certain that the music through this whole segment was from the movie Apollo 13. Pretty sure it was this time. Not Shawshank, but they went with Apollo 13 this time.
Yeah, that's funny. You flagged the music last time as being just lifted from a movie. All right. Yeah, good section. They all come out on stage, introduce everybody. It's great. Really nice to see. We get back to the action. I don't know if that's the right word. With Triple H versus Sheamus. This is Sheamus's first WrestleMania. He looks exactly the same as he does now, just like a little bit slimmer.
Yeah. I really liked this match a lot.
Did you?
I did. Compared to everything else on the card,
yeah,
I liked it.
What did you like about it?
Well, I liked the setup to it. So, like, they're talking about how this is Sheamus's first WrestleMania, and he's a young rookie shooting to the top already. And Triple H is just like, I was in your shoes, and then I called out the Ultimate Warrior, and he whooped my ass at my first WrestleMania. I got squashed by him, and so I'm going to do the same thing to you. Make sure that doesn't happen. So I thought it was excellent. All I could remember when Sheamus showed up was exactly how pale he was.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that there's a sign about a few rows back that says Sheamus pales in comparison to Triple H.
Nice wordplay.
Triple H locks in a beautiful figure 4 on Sheamus early in the match and is like trash talking him, and it looks like it's going to be it for Sheamus. But this match had a lot of good momentum shifts back and forth that made Sheamus look better each and every time. So Sheamus gets built and build and build, and then there's a great false finish after a high kick and pin attempt from Sheamus that, like, you really think, oh man, this is it. It's one of the few times where, like, you didn't see the person being pinned looking at the ref waiting to kick out. And I also enjoyed watching the guy that was in the second row in the Phillies hat and looked like he was on the verge of a heart attack through this entire match. And I like the finish that, like, Triple H is acting like he's done. He's laying there playing possum, and out of nowhere he springs up, tricks Sheamus, lands the pedigree on him, and gets the win. And I felt like that's how you lose a match at WrestleMania without being buried. Triple H made Sheamus look so good.
Yeah, for sure. He definitely set it up for him to sort of continue his path. Well, and the narrative too about, I got my ass kicked and now look where I am today is sort of helps him as well, right? Because
right.
Like, hey, I came back after getting whooped by the Ultimate Warrior. You can do the same. I did like at the beginning of the match where he sort of gets in Triple H's face and he's like, "I'm the future, you're the past." Made me wonder if anybody ever made those shirts like "The Future is Female." I wonder if they ever did like "The Future is Irish." They could do one of those.
The future is pale.
The future is pale. That might come off a little racist. I don't know.
Maybe.
The future is Irish might come off a little racist too. I'm not sure,
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
but yeah, that was yeah. I see your point. That's a decent. What the other thing that struck me is that Sheamus like still wrestles like the same way. Like he has
Yeah.
his moves and the motion and just the way he goes about his business is very similar. Um, some guys kind of like they change a little bit, right? And but he's like it's
Yeah,
almost
you
like he's
see
got
them
like a
slow down and stuff,
yeah
or like they
yeah
drop a couple of the riskier moves, and Sheamus hasn't done that. He hasn't needed
mm-mm,
to.
no, and he's gotten beefier, which makes him a little stronger, so he can do a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. Next up, there's a long backstory about Rey Mysterio and CM Punk, um, and CM Punk's straight edge society, and him embarrassing Mysterio in front of his family, a very young Dominic and 9-year-old Aaliyah, wife Nancy. Um, the background on this one is that if Mysterio loses, he has to join the straight edge society, and I guess not drink anymore. I don't know.
Yeah.
Go to
I
meetings.
like did they just take like the storyline and replace CM Punk with Rhea Ripley?
I think they did.
Like it feels very similar. I know
Yeah,
it's not quite the same. And then like I got uncomfortable that like Rey Mysterio's like 8-year-old daughter is in the ring and like is in the middle of all this. Like it feels very exploitative. Like stop exploiting your children in this
yeah,
and this stuff. Like I get uncomfortable in general when like the children are involved and they're not of like real age to be involved.
Maybe this trauma is why Dominic went to jail on a recent episode of SmackDown.
It's possible.
Have you seen
Um,
Dominic post prison? Have you seen any of this?
I've seen like pictures of him with the bandana
Yeah,
across his
it's fucking
face.
hilarious. It's amazing and hilarious. Like prison changes a man.
Yeah. Shut up, Dominic. Did it make you good at wrestling?
You were in jail for 48 hours. Like that's not the same.
You're in the drunk tank with Barney Fife. Like, calm down.
Yeah. All right there, Danny Trejo.
Yeah.
Dial it back.
All right, Machete.
Yeah. So I assume, I hopefully, Rey Mysterio had a conversation with his kids before all this. This guy's going to come out and say mean things to daddy, but it's not real. We're really friends. It's just a play.
Yeah, I mean, it's not as bad as like the whole Dark Order -1
Ugh,
business, but
yeah.
um,
That kid needs to go away.
like if you just want to like keep supporting them, then just sign the mom to a contract and just pay her. Just keep giving them money. Like I don't understand. Don't like be like, well, yeah, we can keep you on the payroll, but you need to like have your kids show up at the shows, put on a mask, and get involved in the storylines.
Yeah. We're going to throw your kid through some barbed wire this week. If you want your payment, he
your
better show up.
kids in an exploding death match.
Your kid's in a flaming broken glass match this week.
First blood match.
Your kid's going to be wrestling a rabid pit bull this week
Your kid's got to fight mankind this week. Good luck.
in a cage. In a cage.
Anyway,
Anyway, these jokes are way more entertaining than this match. Ray comes
yeah,
out wearing an outfit that's I guess it's a commercial for the Avatar movie.
I thought he
Did you?
looked like Max Moon from the first Monday Night Raw.
Yeah,
Max Moon, Conan's WWF character.
the announcer says it's related to Avatar. The hit, actually, I believe they say the hit motion picture Avatar. Um,
Okay.
Ray
Yeah.
wins.
Which is disappointing because like CM Punk and Rey Mysterio just like one WrestleMania prior had like one of the best matches on the card, and now this one
Yeah,
not.
it is
It's
not
just
that.
I do like that there was a sign alert. Even Jesus hates CM Punk.
That's
Um,
accurate.
yeah, it's very accurate.
Jesus thinks you're kind of a dick. I should have
Yeah.
mentioned that the rest of the straight edge society is Luke Gallows, who we talked about at the top,
Yep.
and a young lady named Serena, which, if you click over on the Wikipedia, is actually Serena Deeb of
Nice.
AEW.
And here she is just being a valet.
Yeah, with her head shaved.
Yeah, what a shame.
Mm,
Because she's like fucking talented as hell.
yeah, she's great.
Um, there was only a couple spots in this match that I got a kick out of, and that was when Rey Mysterio's in a tree of woe situation. He's got his feet tangled up on the top rope, hanging upside down from the corner. And Punk goes for the baseball slide into Ray's face, but Ray does this massive crunch pull up. A very impressive demonstration of ab strength to
I
get
couldn't
out of
do
the
that.
way, and
Yeah.
CM Punk splits his legs upright around the ring post. That was pretty good. And then Ray did an amazing job just through the whole match, and it's every match that he has. He has this ability to chain grapple and time these flips and acrobatics just right that you can't you can't stop watching him. He's this constant motion, and it's very impressive.
Yeah, no, he does some interesting stuff in this one. I could not do that with the crunch. I
Yeah, and
just
then there's the finish was kind of clunky. Like Luke Gallows got up on the apron to yell at the ref and yell at distract Rey Mysterio, and Punk comes in to hit Ray, but Ray moves and then he ends up spearing Luke Gallows, and then Punk gets knocked into the 619 and splash, and ding ding ding.
onward and upward. I would have liked to see Mysterio have to join the Straight Edge Society.
Yeah.
Find out if he. I don't know. So, like, does Mysterio have a uh, substance abuse problem? Is that? I don't understand
No idea.
what the downside of this thing is.
No.
He doesn't believe in 12 steps. He doesn't want to recognize a higher power.
No, probably not.
Yeah, same. All right, Bret Hart is back. And
Vengeance for the screw job.
vengeance for the screw job. And he's going to wrestle, or quote unquote wrestle, Mr. McMahon in what is described as a no holds barred lumberjack match with special guest referee Bruce Hart of the Hart Clan. So there's a long, long, long video recap of the screw job and the aftermath. And I was kind of, I don't know, surprised maybe the way that they dealt with this, because they just sort of say outright, yeah, Vince McMahon, screwed over Bret Hart and took the title off of him unfairly. And I know it's all part of the storyline and stuff, but like, anyway, to hear them kind of acknowledge that, I thought was sort of interesting.
I mean, since it happened, they can just tie it all into kayfabe at that point, right? They can just, you can make anything kayfabe after it happens. So, I'm getting tired of this parade of matches to just beat the shit out of Vince McMahon. And my conspiratorial brain is just like, maybe Vince is doing this to like get at Hulk Hogan. I don't know. Like, why would Vince get himself all jacked and ripped and look like a monster of a guy, and then absolutely not know how to wrestle whatsoever and just gets his ass beat every single time?
It's a good question.
Brett doesn't need Vince to put him over.
Mm-mm.
All these old timers that come in and beat the shit out of Vince. Why? How much you want to bet that WrestleMania 40 has Undertaker versus Vince McMahon?
Yeah. This is for making me the most popular man on your roster for 25 years running.
Right. And me openly saying that I love you and that we're great friends, but now I'm going to beat the shit out of you. Like, it's got to happen, right?
It's a good question.
I'm just so tired of this concept every WrestleMania. Vince McMahon versus either future or newly made Hall of Famer to get his ass beat.
It's almost like, is it penance? Like, is he sort of atoning for all the evil he's done in the world? All
Maybe.
the interns he's paid to keep quiet, and all the competition he's unfairly squashed, and all the steroids he helped sell. Is that like, I don't know. Does he think we need this? I guess is my question.
Right. This segment isn't needed. They could have just put Brett in the Hall of Fame at this. WrestleMania, and
Yeah.
then you know, and then just end it and just like have do it as a peace offering. Like, are you? So many people would have just loved to have Brett and Vince get along again,
Yeah.
kayfabe and in real life, and
They could have done like a brother love. Could have done like a brother love show. Like bring out the little couch and
right.
little carpet in the ring, little microphones, a little potted plant, and they could have just had a like a I don't know a 10-minute little discussion about "Yeah, Vince, I forgive you," and they hug, and then I don't know.
Roddy Piper's still alive at this point. You do a Piper's Pit,
Hell yeah,
fuck yeah,
I
you
would have
know.
been I would have been weeping.
Yeah, that's a better segment than the bullshit that happens here. So like Vince gets on the mic and does this long blah 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 blah. And one thing I know about the Hart family, blah 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 blah. And then Vince reveals that he's paid the Hart family to be the lumberjacks of the match and to turn on Brett. And you're just like, yeah, right. And then Brett lands his beautiful line of, "Oh, you guys are Hart family. You guys. One thing I know about the Harts, y'all got paid up front, right?" It's a good line. And
Kind of a
then,
dick thing to say to your family, though.
yeah. And then Brett turns around and goes, "Another thing I know is that we always all stick together." And it turns out the family just took Vince's money and starts beating the shit out of Vince. All of them.
All of them, yeah. So Natalia, David Hart Smith, and one of them. Who's the little guy with like the little flippy hair in the front?
It was Tyson Kidd.
Oh, that's Tyson Kidd. Okay, yeah,
I thought
those.
it was Teddy Hart at first
Yeah.
because I just watched that documentary. Holy shit.
Mhm.
Uh, I just watched a documentary on him and I was like, holy shit, Teddy Hart's at WrestleMania? No, it wasn't Teddy Hart. It was this
No.
Tyson Kidd.
Yeah, so those three are actually in actual wrestling gear. The rest are just in like formal wear, although Bruce is in like jeans and cowboy boots and a ref shirt. It's weird. There's a crowbar involved. Brett just whoops on Vince with a crowbar for like forever, like to the point where it sort of starts to get a little bit uncomfortable. And then he
And then
sits down in a chair and watches Vince just sort of flop around on the mat like a fish. I think it's supposed to be
yeah.
cathartic, but it just kind of comes off as pathetic.
Yeah, and then Vince eats some real chair shots. He takes an ugly bump on the outside too. And then there's this moment to where like Brett acts like he's going to put the sharpshooter on him, but I think someone tells him that he's got to stretch the segment out even longer, and so he does something else and then sits down, and then he locks the sharpshooter on Vince, and Vince is screaming. And I was upset that Brett let go of it so soon.
Yeah.
Like if you're going to do this moment, you do the sharpshooter until Vince passes out, like
Duh.
Stone Cold, and like that's what you do. You finish him off, and that's the whole point of this thing. Not just like make him hurt until he gives up, and then let go and walk away happy. Like
Yeah.
yeah,
I don't know. It does
so
this thing lasts
anticlimactic.
forever. Yeah.
Yeah, it takes too long.
When even the announcers are saying things like, "This is hard to watch," I'm like, yeah, actually, I agree
No,
with
it's
you.
yeah,
I agree with you, Michael Cole. This should have ended like 5 minutes ago.
yeah. It's hard to watch because it's going on too long, not because it's violent.
Yeah. All right. So next up, we get a commercial for next year's WrestleMania. It's going to be. Are you excited? Are you ready for this? It's going to be in Atlanta.
What? Hotlanta.
Hotlanta, home of CNN. I don't know. I don't know. That's lame. And Justin Robertson has the attendance announcement. Of course, they blow off fireworks to celebrate 72,219. That's all. This is all very important. So now we're kind of getting to like the actual, I guess what you could call the main events, right? Sort of the heavy end of the card.
Yeah, it's the mid card main event here,
Yeah,
basically. It's the
we got
first title match.
Chris Jericho versus Edge for the World Heavyweight Championship match. Edge has been out with a torn Achilles for some time, so he made a surprise appearance and won the Royal Rumble. That sounds familiar. And now he's back. He's going to WrestleMania. He's here to whoop on Jericho. With this is short hair Jericho, Jericho. I don't know, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't. There's a lot of back and forth. There's a lot of moves here that like should be the finish but aren't.
Yeah.
And it goes
Edge
on
is
forever.
nothing but the false finish king. Like, it's just constant. It's obnoxious. Yeah, like, one, I just noted that like the rivalries are so boring now.
Yeah, where's the heat?
Why are they? There's zero heat. There's no reason for these guys really to be fighting except for Edge's. It's like, I'm angry and I won the Royal Rumble, so I choose you. Like, great, great. You know,
He ought to be angry that his face looks like that. Edge's face is jacked. I don't care. I don't, like his eyeballs are weird. He's got a horse face. I don't like his face. And I
yeah,
think that's a big part of why I don't like him as a wrestler, because his face just puts me off. I'm sorry, Edge, Adam. I'm sure you're a nice guy.
yeah.
Your face is fucked up.
Yeah, again, Jericho gets introduced first as the champ. That's never a
Mm-hmm.
good sign normally, and especially when the challenger has more of a spectacle of an entrance than you do too. So, good luck. But now they do this thing now. They've started at this point, and they still do it now, to where when it's a championship match, they get both competitors in the ring, and then they announce them like it's a boxing match or something. So it takes all the energy out of the entrances. It takes away the ability to have a hot start. They can't jump the other guy, so there's no heat. There's no heelish tactics that can happen before the match. There's no stalling that can happen, like I'm not getting in the ring thing or anything like that. It just makes it so bland. Like, they just took white bread and made it whiter and more bland. They cut the
Yeah.
crust off of it. That's what they've cut the crust off the white bread now at this point. I there was a sign that said, "I hope a Canadian wins."
Yeah, I saw that one. Although, as we've noted last on the Taboo Tuesday, Chris Jericho actually born in New York.
Right. Right. So,
Mm.
failure sign. But at this point, he is billing himself from Canada, so I can't blame the fan unless they didn't decide to look at the internet back then. And this is where Matt Stryker starts coming apart. So Stryker at one point is talking about how Edge and Jericho were longtime travel partners in the territories together. No. Then he contradicts himself, talking about how while Jericho was in Mexico and Japan, Edge was working in Canada to get a WWE contract. So which one is it? Which one? Did they travel together all the time? Or was Chris Jericho in Mexico and Japan and Edge was working in Canada to get a WWE contract? Pick one. You got to pick a side, Matt Stryker. God.
I don't know. Is he drinking during the show? Is he
I don't know.
is he sneaking off to the bathroom for a little bit of the Bolivian marching powder? And he's just
Maybe.
losing his grip on reality.
And this match highlighted also, I think, the reason why I don't like Edge in the ring, besides his general look and lack of size, is that he has so many other moves in his arsenal that are more devastating than the spear that he uses as his finisher. Like, he does DDTs and he does like weird things off the top rope and stuff like that. But then his finisher is just basically a shoulder tackle.
I am very over the spear as anybody's finishing move.
Yeah.
It doesn't convince me.
No.
Outside of Rhino is the only person that I will accept it from.
Right. Because his looked fucking painful as hell.
Yeah. And I'm sure it was.
Yeah.
Because he's built like a fucking fire hydrant and he just launches himself at you at 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Everybody else needs to come up with something different.
Yeah, and Jericho really demonstrates how good he is at developing counters off of people's moves in this. He lands the code breaker out of a spear is just one example, and then there's some other reversals into body slams and arm drag takedowns and stuff like that are just really impressive. and then there's a ref bump, and someone gets hit by the belt, and Edge kicks out.
Yeah, that was the one for me that I'm like, God fucking damn it. Like, come on. Um, yeah. And then I agree about the sort of flipping moves into another move, into a counter. There's Edge sort of hobbles around, and Jericho kind of flips him into another code breaker that I thought that was a little bit awkward. Actually, he didn't get all of it, and then he gets the pin 1, 2, 3. Michael Cole says, uh, world famous bullshitter Michael Cole says Jericho retains the title, but Edge felt like a champion here tonight, which is not at all how that works.
No, and then Edge attacks Jericho after the match and beats the living shit out of him, puts him through the announce table and stuff like that, or off the announce table and into the timekeeper's table. And I just was like, Edge is going to remain a face after this? This isn't babyface tactics.
Well, I kind of wondered if he was doing a heel turn there because I felt like there were some boos for him after
The
that.
crowd definitely turned on him there, but I
Yeah.
don't know, like, are they trying to do a double turn? Are they trying to make Jericho a face out of this and Edge a heel? Like, what's happening here?
I don't know.
It didn't quite come off, but also we're in a massive outdoor stadium, and it's really hard to hear how the crowd's reacting on the telecast, which kind of makes it not as fun to watch these large stadium shows because you just can't tell what the crowd's doing.
Yeah, I'd agree. Let's look at Wikipedia, see what it says for the aftermath, see if there's anything about it on this one. On the episode of SmackDown after WrestleMania, Chris Jericho came out to flaunt the fact that he had defeated Edge. Edge attacked him, hit him with another spear, stripped Jericho, revealing Jericho's injured ribs as a result of the spear. Jack Swagger comes and hits Edge with the Money in the Bank briefcase. None of that makes any sense. Then Swagger cashes in his briefcase, performs a gut-wrench powerbomb on Jericho, and wins the World Heavyweight Championship.
I just want to point out that the Wikipedia also says that after the match, Jericho attempted to attack Edge, but Edge fought it off. I didn't see that.
That's the Michael Cole version of events.
Yeah. That's not how that looked at all to me.
Nice try, Michael Cole. Just
Yeah.
lying to us. Anyway, yeah, I mean, not just another boring one for me, honestly. I thought the few highlights that were there were actually Chris Jericho's, and that sort of makes me hate myself a little bit.
Yeah. Jericho is a star. Sorry.
It's okay. It was before he lost his damn mind and wanted to raid the Capitol and whatever the hell else he's up to these days. The next thing on this card is, God help us, it's a 10 diva tag team match. So that is 5 divas on a side, for those of you working with the new math. So on side 1, you got Alicia Fox, Layla, Maurice, Michelle McCool, and Vicky Guerrero, who is the Kane of this match, versus on the other side, Beth Phoenix, Eve Torres, Gail Kim, Kelly Kelly, and Mickey James. So it takes longer to introduce everybody than it does to actually have the match,
God, yeah.
which comes in at 3 minutes and 20 seconds. Michael Cole, again, starts by saying, it would not be WrestleMania without the smart, sexy, powerful divas.
Yeah, they're trying to change the image now of, like, they didn't say this was a 10-woman Playboy match.
Right.
But I just noted this down as too many women versus too many women.
Also, too much yelling from Vicky. So, like, every
Yeah.
time something happens to her, she just yells.
Yeah, that's how you sell. But I did note that it was smart for them to start Vicky in the ring versus Beth Phoenix. It's because Beth is a real trained wrestler and can protect Vicky, as opposed to putting her in there with someone that's not quite as ring trained, and that could have been bad. And the only other thing that I noted was that the ref is not enforcing the rules at all, and he's basically treating this like it's a little person's, like, vaudeville match back in the day. Like, this
Like,
is
oh,
god awful.
You crazy kids.
Yeah, and then Vicky wins with a splash from the top rope, which Michael Cole calls the hog splash.
Oh, come on.
So after that smart, powerful, beautiful women's content comment, he is body shaming Vicky Guerrero.
Great, great.
Way to stick with it, guys.
Yeah. Michael Cole's nothing if not a feminist. Yeah, basically everybody comes in, does one move, poses, and then goes out again. And
Yeah.
then once they run through all 10 people doing that, then the match is over. So, and we're not going to talk about that anymore. These have been a low light of all of the WrestleManias that we've watched lately.
It's one of the better women's matches of the recent WrestleManias that we've watched,
it's an actual
or
match,
even
yeah.
just the recent pay-per-views that we've watched. But God damn it, man! Like, you have Serena Deeb there, and she's just a valet. Meanwhile, you put this on.
Dude, they could have put Beth Phoenix and Serena Deeb in there for 15 minutes. I would have been with it.
Yeah, all in. All in.
Lost opportunity. Where's Jackie? Jackie should have been around too.
Yeah.
Anyway, next up, almost there, WWE Championship match. John Cena versus Batista. So they faced off at the Elimination Chamber last month. Batista got the belt. So they're back at it. This is the rubber match here. The entrances take forever, of course. John Cena has an elaborate entrance with the Air Force National Guard drill team.
It's fucking stolen valor bullshit, man. You're not really a Marine just because you were in a movie, The Marine. It's not.
Hey, you don't know. You don't know what he sacrificed.
He's fuck.
I heard they ran out of granola bars at catering on day 3. Day 3.
No.
How would you know you weren't there? Anyway, yeah, there's some good signs for this one. There's one that says Norway hates Cena. That's pretty specific. There's also like 9 people with individual letters spelling out Cena sucks. So I appreciate the coordination there.
I like the Batista likes fish sticks sign.
That's a good one. The crowd, I'd say, is decidedly anti-Batista, though, like for the most part. I put it at like 70-30.
Yeah, and there was a sign that said like a big bag of bread, a big loaf of bread, something like that. It was just a sign that said that.
Big oaf of bread, it said.
Big oaf of bread. There we go.
And it had Batista's face on a loaf of bread. Loaf, oaf. You get it.
I like the entry, like the setup video for this quite a bit. Cena's calling Batista by his first name, so it's kind of like breaking the kayfabe wall of just calling him Batista. He's calling him Dave. And Batista is angry that he isn't the poster boy of the company. And Batista claims that for some reason they passed the torch from Stone Cold to Cena, and then they show the clip of Stone Cold at the Hall of Fame tossing the beer to Cena. And then Cena says that Batista does this out of money, but Cena does it out of love. And then Batista comes back with the line, "Every time we're in the ring together, bad things happen to you." Good line.
That's pretty good. Yeah, I like that. So there's lots of kind of slow, sort of grinding tests of strength, submission moves. Batista's working on Cena's neck throughout this. I like John Cena. I like Batista. I think together they actually do pretty well. They're not the most exciting wrestlers in the world, but they are definitely like professional and legit, right? They both came up from OVW. They both know how to do this stuff.
Yeah, it's still just like too blah. It's all blah. You could substitute any of the muscle bound guys into this match. Batista is a stud, but I just wish his moves actually looked a bit more crisp. Mm-hmm. You know, like he just looks a little rough around the edges with things still for some reason. There's a weird suplex and Batista lands really awkwardly. And then like Cena actually stands up with Batista on his back. Like that's nuts.
Kind of Rick Boogs himself.
Yeah, pretty watch.
Blow out its butt.
Uh,
Yeah, there's a handful of like sloppy moves in this one. There's one
yeah,
where Cena kind of loses the handle on the attitude adjustment, and Batista kind of like flies off before he was supposed to.
yeah,
There's also some weird move with Cena like jumping on to Batista, that I didn't quite understand what was supposed to be happening. Um, but I don't know. It's all right.
yeah.
It's
And then they exchange each other's finishers. So like, Cena takes a massive power bomb from Batista, but Cena kicks out, and then Batista kicks out of the attitude adjustment, like, and then eventually Batista taps out to like the whatever it's called, whatever that ankle lock thing that Cena
the
does. I
the
can't care.
STFU.
Yeah, I can't
Is that the
care anymore.
STFU?
Yeah.
Um,
And then again, like the whole ring entrance thing for this match was like Batista gets introduced first and he's the champion. I'm just like, oh, right. Yeah. Okay. So we're telegraphing this again. And then also you're just like, well, Cena must have some sort of bullshit entry coming up if it is. And it's like 3 minutes of the Air Force Honor Guard twirling rifles. Like,
yeah.
it's cool for like 30 seconds. And then you're just like, and then you remind yourself that he's not really a Marine. He's not in the military. He was never in the military. Why does he have an honor guard drill team?
He's got a buzz cut, Rich. He's got a buzz cut.
And he salutes. Great.
Hmm. This is the 7th championship for Cena out of an eventual 13, by the way. So roughly midway, actually exactly midway in his run.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So the other thing that bothers me, and I know this is not an unusual thing, but like everybody, both of these guys having ridiculous names for all of their moves. The 5 knuckle shuffle, the Batista bomb, the attitude adjustment, the STFU. Um, it makes it like a video game, right? Like, oh, you press the 4-button combination that gave you the Batista bomb.
And I mean, that's really in general them moving away from wrestling, and like Michael Cole doesn't know the name of wrestling moves. He doesn't. And honestly, nobody on WWF commentary has known the name of wrestling moves since Gorilla Monsoon. You listen to Vince McMahon on Monday Night Raw, in the early Raws, and even on the pay-per-views, he's like, oh, what a maneuver.
Oh, look at that.
That hold, like, what a vicious hold, what a vicious move, a horrifying maneuver. Like, he doesn't actually say, like, oh, well, that's a fisherman suplex.
Yeah.
They just continue that, and then now they can, like, slap branding. Like, the move name is part of the wrestler's brand. It's just,
Yeah.
and it gets out of control, and it's just more and more pulling away from wrestling tradition.
Well, you can put a sticker on the action figure that says "with Batista bomb action."
Right.
Kung Fu grip. Anyway, it's time for another commercial. The DVD for Shawn Michaels' My Journey. Please don't buy me that for Christmas next
You're
year.
getting it.
I'll throw it in the trash. I'll throw it right in the fucking trash. I don't want it. I don't care about Shawn Michaels or his journey.
Don't you want to pinpoint the moment that his eyes stop looking in the same direction?
I thought it might be in this match, actually. He's up against The Undertaker in a no disqualification streak versus career match. So Shawn has to retire if he loses. The Undertaker doesn't have to give up anything, but he loses his streak. It's at 17-0 when this thing begins. So, we had a really good Shawn versus Undertaker match in a previous WrestleMania where there was good versus evil and light versus dark and Satan versus the one-eyed Christ or whatever he was supposed to be. But this doesn't have that.
Yeah. So, like, more craziness out of Matt Stryker at the start of right before the start of this match. I think they're talking about like another event is going to be at Baltimore or something. And for some reason, Matt Stryker says some of the greatest minds have come out of Baltimore. And even Michael Cole
true?
and Jerry Lawler are like, what?
Does Matt Stryker know us?
I don't. Possibly.
Is he talking about Edgar Allan Poe?
I hope not, because Edgar Allan Poe isn't even from Baltimore. He's from Boston. He just lived in Baltimore for a while.
Is he talking about David Simon?
Maybe.
Hmm.
Maybe. It could be David Simon.
Yeah, I'd rep for that.
Yeah,
I think he's on the cocaine. That's what I think is happening here.
yeah, or maybe that doctor that Alan Rickman played at that like did the heart transplant things or whatever with Most Def, about at Hopkins or whatever, and that what half the Lord made HBO movie thing. I don't know. I don't know anymore. The greatest minds have come out of Baltimore.
Okay.
Babe Ruth, Cal Ripken. I don't
Um,
know.
Ray Lewis.
Ray Lewis isn't even from Baltimore.
Okay, I got nothing. I don't know
Yeah.
anybody from Baltimore apparently. Um, Marty Bass.
Marty Bass. Marty
Marty.
Bass.
I'm Marty Bass.
Marty Bass. All right, so now we're getting really regional and direct in our humor here.
He was a weatherman on WJZ 13 for those of you outside the greater Baltimore region.
And Bob Turk.
Bob Turk. Anyway, moving on. I don't know. Everybody's looking old and tired. Sean's overselling.
I'm looking
There's a lot of him
tired.
laying around waiting to kick out.
Yeah.
I like the end of this one, but I don't want to jump ahead.
No, so like early on in this match, Undertaker tweaks his knee for real lives. And that puts a definite damper on everything that they plan to do in this match. And it's kind of sad. I liked that they introduced the Undertaker from Death Valley again. That was a nice touch, throwback to way back when. And then I also enjoyed the opening of the match where like the Undertaker's doing his whole spectacle and like brings up the lights and stuff, and Shawn Michaels is just like staring down the Taker, like looking at him like your shit's corny. Let's come on. And then Matt Striker delivers again. Matt Striker says, "Blessed is the man who doesn't respect the proud." So Matt Striker here is paraphrasing Psalms 40. Blessed is the man that maketh the Lord his trust and respecteth not the proud, nor such as turn aside to lies.
Wow.
Yeah, Matt Striker is getting deep here,
Mm.
So, and
The
then this is
path.
where I also noticed a sign that said Hosen stinkt, which is German for pants stink.
The path of the righteous man is beset on all sides by the iniquities of the selfish and the tyranny of evil men.
All right, Samuel. Let's.
Blessed is he in the name of charity and goodwill. Anyway, sorry.
I got a huge kick out of them trying to compare the Undertaker's streak to other sports like Lou Gehrig's streak and stuff like that. It was like, but Undertaker's finishes are preset. It's not. It's just impressive because he's wrestled this long, not because he's won 17 matches in a row at WrestleMania.
Yeah, it's not like, I mean, he basically just has not died,
right,
or crippled himself. That's his primary achievement.
And then there's a near fall on a choke slam. He choke slams Shawn, but Shawn kicks out. Striker lands another pseudo Christian line of "He is risen." Shawn Michaels kicks out. Man,
Shawn gets caught in that sort of bullshit MMA armbar thing that the Undertaker does, which they call the Hellscape, which is one of the lamest things I've ever heard. Like it's just an armbar, man. Let's take it down a notch.
Yeah, when he gets in that, Striker says, "I've been in that hold. You pass out immediately."
That's not true. What does he think is happening?
I don't know. Matt Striker is on fire through this whole match. He says, "This is it, WrestleMania, a chance to live forever." After Shawn Michaels takes a tombstone on the outside.
He just killed that man. He's not going to live forever.
I like that Shawn Michaels gets the Undertaker in a leg lock at one point, and Undertaker gets out of it by just repeatedly kicking Shawn in the face. Like that's a good tactic.
That's a pro move for sure.
Yeah. And Shawn goes up to drop an elbow on the Undertaker, and the Undertaker pulls his knees up, and so Shawn's elbow goes into Undertaker's shin. There's no way that did not hurt. Holy shit!
And they actually both sell it.
Yeah,
So Undertaker,
I don't think
Undertaker's
Taker was selling it. I think I think that shit just legitimately hurt.
yeah. So he goes. It builds on the earlier tweak of the knee, and of course, Shawn catches the shins to the face or the chest or whatever. And then there's a sweet chin music and a kick out, of course.
Yeah, but that was a good moment. I like that moment.
Yeah.
Because Shawn Michaels now gives the stunned face that the Undertaker had at the previous WrestleMania after Shawn kicks out of the tombstone. And like the Undertaker like sits there like with his eyes wide open, confused as to how that's not the end of the match. But Shawn does that now, and the camera catches it, and it's a great moment. And another Matt Striker line comes after that, as we auditioned our entire lives for this moment. All right, Matt
Okay.
Striker. I'm glad this is the moment you were waiting for.
He knows he's not in the ring, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Does Matt Striker know where he is?
I think he thinks he's actually fighting this match.
Could we put out a silver alert for Matt Striker?
Yeah.
Hmm.
And then the big spot of the match. Big spot of the match
I was
is
going to say, are we ready?
Yeah, Undertaker is laid out on the announce table.
Spanish announce tables, of
on
course.
The Spanish announce table. Poor Carlos and Hugo are about to suffer more indignity. And Shawn climbs to the top rope of the ring and moonsaults from the top onto the injured leg of the Undertaker on the announce table. And everything collapses. It's, oh my God. That's the big... I said holy shit before Shawn even jumped. It's like, oh God, I know where this is going.
Yeah. Yeah, this show is lacking in oh shit moments, not to jump ahead too much, but that's the only legitimate one, I would think.
I think so, yeah. There wasn't even anything in the ladder match.
No. I think you can see Shawn's eyes just cross irreversibly at that point.
Yeah.
Just like they're done now. His eyes are no longer separate.
And then they get back in the ring, and Michaels lands a super kick for another amazing false finish. And then Michaels goes for one more super kick, and he whiffs and lands right into a choke slam. And then tombstone, and you're like, this is it. That's it. Nope. Shawn Michaels kicks out of the cross-arm pin.
The crowd is popping at that point. The crowd is losing its goddamn mind.
Yeah. They're having a fucking meltdown. I mean, they've been bored for the last 3.5 hours, so yeah. I don't blame them.
It's Phoenix. It's 900 degrees. They're wearing fur coats. They're losing it.
Finally, the 8 previous dark matches are over, and the first match of the pay-per-view can start, right? And then I love at this moment that they're still calling Undertaker the Phenom, which was a nickname given to him by Gorilla Monsoon. Like, Gorilla Monsoon started calling him that. So, like, they're calling way back here. Undertaker's been there for 20 years now. So it's a nice thing. And then Undertaker pulls a Lawler and pulls down his straps like this is it. And it's great that Lawler sees him do that and immediately goes, uh-oh.
Yeah, that was a good moment. I like that a lot.
Yeah. Michaels comes pawing and crawling to his feet, using the Undertaker to get up. And then Shawn looks at Undertaker right in the face and crosses his own throat, telling the Undertaker to finish him. And Undertaker is like not wanting to do it. And then he slaps the shit out of the Undertaker. Like big old paintbrush of slap. And Undertaker's like, motherfucker, it's on. Kicks him in the gut, spins him around into the tombstone position, and he does the old school tombstone.
The jumping tombstone.
That he used to do to the jobbers way back in the day and leave them paralyzed, probably. Where not just falling to his knees into the pile driver, he jumps in the air and lands on his knees to put him out.
I imagine he mostly stopped doing that because that's just got to be brutal on his own knees.
On his own knees, the other guy's spine. He's performing cervical fusions doing that move. He's
Yeah,
just like, let me fuse your back for you.
everything's aligned now.
Yeah.
Um, right before the Shawn like climbing up Undertaker's leg and slapping him, right after he pulls down the straps, he's kind of like standing there and he starts to do the throat cut motion, and then sort of stops himself and he just looks at he looks at Shawn, um, and like you could kind of see it in his face. He's like, "What the fuck, dude? Like, just stay down," like.
Yeah.
Like,
Just,
like just leave it, and like it's just sort of it's a cool moment. You kind of like utter disbelief that this guy just won't fucking lay down.
yeah.
Like,
Just give it up.
yeah, yeah. Jumping tombstone pin, R.I.P. Shawn.
Lots of pyro.
Lots of pyro. Undertaker's 18-0. Everybody's exhausted.
Taker like does his little pose for like a second and then is like just too exhausted to deal with it. And then he helps Shawn get up and then they like hug and I just mark down they look like they should kiss at this point.
So you can see the Undertaker mouth, "You're one tough son of a bitch" to Shawn. And then a really nice moment, actually. I thought
Yeah.
Undertaker just sort of ducks down and rolls out of the ring and leaves Shawn alone there. I mean, Undertaker should stay. He's the one who won, but he gets out of there, and you can see Shawn mouth "thank you" to him. And then, of course, he's standing there basking in the fan adulation. He's crying. He's pointing to the sky. He's praying. He takes his time getting up the ring to shake everybody's hand, including the guy with the sign that says "This match sponsored by AARP." So that was pretty graceful, I thought. Gracious.
Yeah.
Um,
I like that sign. And then Shawn says something like, "I'm going to my kids in 3 weeks." I couldn't make out the middle there. Like he's talking to someone, like just telling him like his plans or something. It's weird.
Going to Disneyland.
Yeah. And then right as the telecast ends, we have Jerry Lawler saying, "Goodbye. We'll miss you."
I still don't like Shawn, but that's a nice ending.
Yeah.
I still don't want to watch the DVD.
You should.
Don't buy me the DVD.
Yeah.
Well, that wraps up a fairly mediocre and underwhelming WrestleMania, but I had fun talking about it with you. Best match, Undertaker Shawn, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, it's the next closest I would say would probably be Edge versus Jericho. But yeah, it's going to be Shawn versus Undertaker by a mile, just partially because of Matt Stryker. He makes this match amazing.
You're gonna have to give him special mention when we get around to our 2023 year in review. So make sure you make a bookmark for that.
We auditioned our entire lives for this.
That's how we should start That's how we should start the podcast. The worst match is the Divas.
Yeah, because it actually was a match this time, so I'll give it
Yeah.
that. And it's right behind it is going to be Brett and Vince.
Yep.
I hate putting Brett in that, but here we are.
It's not his fault.
No. It's very close between those two though, just because Brett and Vince went on forever.
I thought about it too, but all the screaming from Vicky really is what did me in. Like I couldn't do it. And then for an oh shit moment, again, I sort of mentioned this show is sort of really lacking in any kind of real surprises. It seems very safe, very sterile, very polished and high gloss, and nothing seems particularly interesting or dangerous. So, I mean, for me, it's Shawn's moonsault. That's really the only, I'm sure there were some dangerous spots during some of those other matches, but nothing really, that was the only thing that really like popped me and made me pay attention.
So that's an oh shit, like just because like this entire event is just like a flat line, and then there's that blip, and then Undertaker's jumping tombstone would probably be second, and then rolling out Gorgeous George's 100-year-old ex-wife was probably third.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Because honestly, all of these matches look the same except for Sheamus versus Triple H. That match I only like that match because they did such a good job of making Sheamus look good. I don't like saying that about Triple H, but here we are. Yeah, that's gonna be yeah. Though for some reason, I enjoyed watching this.
Okay.
I don't know why. Maybe I was just in a really, really good mood that day. Maybe.
Did you do as much cocaine as Matt Striker? Is that what did it?
No, I did not. I very much did not. Even though some of the greatest minds have come out of Baltimore, I did not.
Greatest minds on cocaine and
Yeah.
laudanum.
Yeah, I enjoyed watching this. It's still not going to get a high rating for me, but for some reason, I don't know if it's just because I like the Hurt a little bit or what, but I enjoyed watching this one. So what would you rate this on a scale of 5?
Oh man, probably like 2 stars, I think. And one of those stars is for the last match.
Yeah.
And one of those stars is just for not being WrestleMania 11. That's it.
Yeah. I think I'm probably around 2 stars as well. Now that I'm thinking about the reasons why I liked watching it, and I think it's because I fell victim to the making it digestible for non-wrestling fans stuff. For some reason, they did a really good job with that one, and it made me like this show, despite I'm being a wrestling fan, and I was still watching wrestling regularly when this was on.
Gonna get your wrestling cred card pulled.
I know. I just don't. This time, I think I didn't even really like it when it first was on, but this time I kind of enjoyed it, and I think it's just. I think it might have just been because it was a stressful time when I watched it, and this was mindless.
It goes down easy, that's for sure.
I didn't have to think about it at all. I was brought up to date by all the video segments. I didn't need to have any kind of context going into the show, and the way the show ends and way everything, all the matches end in this thing, everything is resolved. It's all tidied up. What are the storylines going forward after this? What were the storylines coming in? It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it really doesn't. Like it's really of no consequence. I mean, a belt changes hands.
Yeah.
Somebody's career ends, but
And in that way, it's like WrestleMania 1, where there's no storylines coming in, there's no storylines going out, there's no,
it's like a black box basically. It's just
it's just
interesting. Well, we do like to take a moment to pay tribute to our performers who we've seen in this WrestleMania. So our in memoriam section for WrestleMania 26 from 2010 includes Shad Gaspard, who was in that Dark Battle Royal match, Howard Finkel on announcing duties during the Hall of Fame, Antonio Inoki, Roddy Piper, who inducted Wendy Richter into the Hall of Fame that year, Pat Patterson, who inducted Mad Dog Vachon himself, Gorgeous George, a.k.a. George Wagner, and his ex-wife Betty Wagner, and Stu Hart. We hope you've enjoyed listening along as we talk WrestleMania 26. Remember, you can catch us on all the WrestleManias.com. Shoot us an email at allthewrestlemanias@gmail.com. On the Twitters at WrestleManiaPod. Check out that Ko-Fi, Ko-Fi, All the WrestleManias site if you'd like to leave us a little tip for the show. Check our Instagram, Facebook, etc., etc. We're always happy to hear from you. And we will be back in the studio pretty soon. We're going to look at some old school wrestling and probably a few other fun things in the near future. So for now, I am Tim.
And I'm Rich.
Saying so long, everybody.
Goodbye. We'll miss you.